Sprite Castle. Sprite Castle. Sprite Castle.
Mr. Rob O'Hara.
Sprite Castle.
Hey everybody, welcome to another stream here on Sprite Castle. I hope everybody, I'm going to dim these lights while I'm talking. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. If you are in the United States, today is the day, I believe it is the last Thursday of every November. That's what we celebrate Thanksgiving, and that's a little better. And, of course, when you're a kid in the United States, you are taught the whole story about how the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower and they met with the Native Americans and they made the big feast and all that. And, of course, when you get a little older, you learn how terrible all that really happened and how it wasn't just the big happy reunion that we're taught as kids. But the good thing, I guess the good side about Thanksgiving is that regardless of all that stuff that you learn in elementary school, Thanksgiving gives everyone a day. It gives families a day to come together, usually. Not in 2020, unfortunately. But more importantly than that, it gives people a time, a day to reflect on what they're thankful about. I'm thankful for this great hair. My hair is terrible all the time. COVID hair, man. But it does give you time to reflect on your life. It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of the opposite of New Year's to me. You know, New Year's is when everybody sits back and says, here's how I'm going to change my life next year. And they make all their resolutions and all that stuff. And it's all about thinking forward, But Thanksgiving is kind of all about thinking back, and it's all about like, hey, what do I, what's gone right? What's going good right now? What am I thankful for? And so right now with COVID, man, it's real easy to think about all the stuff that's going bad. We have my niece and her husband now have COVID, and that's where my wife is right now. She's taking them a Thanksgiving meal and leaving it on the front porch and backing away so that they can come out and have some turkey and stuff. But there's lots of bad stuff, but the good stuff is that my family is healthy. My parents are in their 70s and they're healthy, and my kids, I worry about them going to school and they've been healthy. And so health is one thing I think about on Thanksgiving. I also think about big picture stuff, like I've been able to keep working during COVID, which is nice. So there's a lot of that, but there's also the little stuff and I guess medium stuff too. And one of those things is I'm glad to have dipped my toes into streaming. I was making these gameplay videos for uploading them to the Amigos YouTube channel, and that was fun, and I did enjoy doing that. But man, there's something else. I am a guy who is energized. I love. I've done some public speaking, and I love that feeling not right before, when you go out, man. When they give you a mic, and I've spoke to some big crowds. I was actually on a panel. I was just talking to a friend about this today. I was on a panel at DEF CON. And you're walking into a room of, 1,000 people in my room that every one of them can ruin your credit if things go bad. But, I've done a friend of mine, one of my old college professors, invited me to her classroom earlier this year, right before the COVID stuff, like in January, to come speak to her class about writing, and I don't know if you guys know that I've written a couple of books. I wrote a book called Commodork, Sordid Tales of a BBS Junkie, which was about my experiences growing up as a Commodore user on the modem. And really, it's kind of this story. It's a story arc about growing up, as a person and growing up on BBSs, So I've got some people, there's been a few negative reviews about the book that say, well, he was just this dirty, rotten pirate that just downloaded games. Well, yeah, I was, 13, 14, we all stabbed each other in the back. We all did doofy stuff. And that was kind of the point. And towards the end, when you make the switch, I mean, there's a lot of internet kind of stories there too. But, at the end of the book is when my son was born, and all that stuff seems like silly, goofy stuff, worrying about, who stole someone's game and uploaded it first or whatever, all that stuff. But anyway, that's a sidetrack. But in the minute that you go in front of a class to talk or whatever, there's about 1 to 2 minutes where you just got to brace yourself, because the adrenaline is going to hit you. And no matter, I mean, every speaker, you got to sit there and you'll feel all the signs of adrenaline. Your throat will tighten up. Your throat gets real dry, and you start thinking about breathing. You're like, am I breathing? Did I remember to breathe? And then you're like, and then every breath like that. But once that passes, man, I just love it. I love that feeling of, going in front of a group and talking about something that I know about. And of course, with retro games, it's not always something that I know about. A lot of times there's people that know more about stuff than I do, but I've just been having a blast, man. And I still love doing my podcasts. I love doing Sprite Castle, which is Commodore games, and I love doing You Don't Know Flack, which I'll have a You Don't Know Flack, a new episode coming out tomorrow. But yeah, this has been a fun thing, and this is something that I'm certainly thankful to have discovered, and I'm thankful for the people that have followed me. I see a couple people have showed up in the chat or whatever, and so thank you guys for dropping in. And so tonight we're going to be in the U.S. If you're in the United States, and you part of Thanksgiving is that they always show football games. There's almost every year the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions play. The Dallas Cowboys always play somebody. Today they played the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. I think right now they're just known as the Washington. But that game is over, and now we will be moving on to our own little football game, which is 10-Yard Fight. This is a classic, I say, arcade game. I don't think not everybody loves this game. I used to play this game. I'm trying to remember what arcade that I went to, but one of the keys to scoring this first touchdown or to beat the first team is you really got to get some yards on your first return back. This is a pretty simple game to play. It's not a simple game to win, but you have you can't really call plays. They're only I already let my receiver get too far past the line of scrimmage, but there are no plays. There are only two options. And the first is, first you got this guy that's in motion. You see this guy that's in motion right here. And the minute that you hike the ball, he starts running downfield. So let's send him downfield. And then, so you got to watch out for that safety guy, because he'll intercept the ball every single time. Sometimes you just got to run it. If somebody hits you with a diving tackle, they knock you off your feet instantly. If they don't, if they just run into you and tackle you that way, let's see if we can... that guy's running over there again too fast. I'd like to get behind him. No. So you can see the timer goes really fast. And we're going to... So you have two plays. You can throw it sideways, a lateral. If I can get ahead of that guy. There we go. Interception. I didn't see that guy. If you throw it anywhere where it's going to pass a guy, he will jump up. Interception is a 20-yard penalty. Now, so what I normally try to do is... it's a bad throw. Lucky. So when the guys just touch you and tackle you, you can wiggle the joystick. I'm actually playing with the keyboard today. My joystick's in a drawer over there. So this is a tough one because you got receivers or defenders on both sides. They're split. So I'll throw it over to the side over here. Yeah, my receiver's tied up, so we're just going to run it up the side. Now, normal football, if you wanted to stop the clock, you would run out of bounds. I went the wrong way. But it keeps the clock keeps running until the referee comes over. Now, let's run this guy over to the sidelines. We're going to throw a lateral. And maybe, just maybe, we got a first down. Now you can see the clock has now run out on the game. But we will get a time bonus. I may score here, but not likely. Maybe. So this is will be the first half of the game. We'll have to kick the extra point here, which really there's no reason to. Oh. Yeah, I had the wrong button. Stupid. All right. Second half. So you're never on defense. You're only on offense. Again, we're going to run up here. So the key is you got these guys surrounding you is to just start running those guys and tie up as many defenders as you can. Like that. If you can keep that guy behind you, that really helps. Oh, he's gone. You can hear all the little tackles. So you want to try to avoid the diving tackle. Yeah, once you get 2 or 3 guys on you, you just go down. That's not a bad return. All right. Left-hand side looks pretty open. We're going to send our receiver down to the left. We'll throw it to the left here. We'll wait and see what that defender does. Oh, maybe. Nah. Good old interception. This game is kind of harder than it looks. There's a Nintendo port of this game, and the Nintendo port is notoriously simple. The Nintendo version is so easy, and this version is not quite as easy. It has, if you think about it, all the good hallmarks of an arcade game. So if you kind of dissect it, that guy should be open. First of all, you're always on offense, because if you're paying money, you don't really want to be on defense. So that's the first thing I would say. I'm going to turn down the volume here on the next game. Yeah, there's no way you're never going to throw it across all those defenders like that. Oh, why did I do it? Why? There's always that moment where you just think there'll be some Hail Mary attempt, and it just never works. It's literally impossible to throw it, across. Like, you can never just throw it over all those defenders. But, nope. So that you'll hear the guy grunt right before he does a diving thing. He'll go, hoo, like that. And then sometimes you can swerve out of the way. Now, my game would have been over if I hadn't got a first down. Because there's only 10 seconds on the clock now. You can see you get 10 seconds for a first down. So that guy dove. So it's 20 normal football if you're not American. Normal football, American football, I should say. It's 10 yards for a first down. But, hut. All right, we're going to the right. The receiver went on some weird route, so we'll just run it up the left here. Now I ran out of time, and I didn't get a first down, which means game over. Which is, unfortunately, what would happen if you're in the arcade. And let's go to slider controls, and I'm just going to take that down a couple more notches there. So 10-yard fight was definitely one of those games, and I believe this was also offered in the Nintendo Versus. I might be making that up, but I think that's right. All right, so let's start again here. And the first level is high school. So in theory, this is supposed to be a high school football game. Those are some pretty big linebackers there for high school kids. There we go. If we could kind of, oh, you can see them drop off one by one. They just kind of start disappearing. So like, went the wrong way when he was diving. All right. No real good spot for my receiver, so we'll go this way. Yeah, see that guy is just hanging back a little too far. So, not bad, not bad, not bad. Here's a trick. Run it up the middle. I only needed 2 yards for the first down. So, 1st and 10. It's just that the hash marks are so far away. I mean, that's 5 yards right there. So it feels like you're going 20. I mean, in real life, a yard is 3 feet. All right, so we only need 1 yard. So we'll send this guy way over here, and then we're going to run up the middle and try to get another first down. I don't think we got it. All right, so we're going to throw a lateral. Okay, let's hike it to that guy and throw the lateral. Oh, let's do it. Oh, he was looking for a short play. And it's O'Hara with the ball. He's at the 10. He's almost at the 10. He's at, oh. He's at the 8-yard line. So it should be 1st and goal. Well, 1st and 8. Not a good choice right there. So I've got a feeling we're just going to have to run this. There's so many guys there. 5-yard line. We're going to get this in the end zone here. We're going to go far left. He's got all his guys over there to the side. So this is a 8-direction game. So you have your diagonals, and it's also a 2-button game. So one button hikes the ball and is your forward pass. All right, so we're going to do this. And then we're going to hit the button when that arrow's right in the middle. There we go. Oh, I was off. Is it? Oh, man. Well, doo-doo. All right. Second half of the game. This is a very short game for American football. I just watched a football game that was a little over 3 hours. Fortunately, a 10-yard fight. I say, fortunately, wouldn't it be great if you went to an arcade as a kid and you got 3 hours on a quarter? I mean, I guess if you were playing, if you were an Asteroids Master, maybe. One of those guys that can marathon that game. That ain't me. Most of my experience would be the opposite, I would say. I would say, like, Dragon Slayer, I could play for about 45 seconds. Oh, that's not fair. That guy would not have caught that ball in real life. 20-yard penalty. So however far I had to go originally, plus 20 yards. So in football, I feel like I'm explaining the game and I'm explaining football maybe to people that don't know how to play, how football works, which is possible, I suppose. But there's a line of scrimmage, which is where the ball is, and you can only throw it forward if you're behind where that ball is, or where the line of scrimmage is. So, all right, we're going to go sideways. That's button number 2. Yeah. Oh, no, that was terrible, terrible choice, Mr. O'Hara. Not a good choice. I hope you had another stupid pass. That's the game. There's no way I'll be able to recover from that. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I hope you were able to make some sort of accommodations for Thanksgiving. Last year, or earlier this year, I suppose. Is there any way? Yeah, maybe. I'm still not going to get a first down. I can't. You know what I just realized is that really you only have to get a first down from the 20-yard penalty is not in addition to where you were. So you just have to keep getting first downs. I mean, so at this point, like I have 10 seconds. I don't have enough time. I could probably run 2 plays if I were quick. But in real football, see, he's just sitting on my guy's head. That's not fair. Yeah. Did I get it? Alright, we're going to go right. But you're going to watch that guy on the end. Yeah, I knew he was going to do that. Nope, maybe. That's luck. Yeah, boy. Did I get a first down? Nope. It was 1 yard short. This last year, I built a... I paid some guys to build a, hey man, hey Tintin, what's going on? Let's do this music. Well, there's not very good music in this game, unfortunately. I built a workshop in my backyard, and it's half finished, like half like a movie room theater kind of thing, and the other half is literally just like a big like a 3-car garage. It's 600 square foot of just concrete floor and framed in walls and stuff. Actually, the walls are covered in spray and insulation. But what we've done is I put a table out there, like one of those white plastic indoor-outdoor tables, and we've set it up. And my dad comes over once a week, and so we open up the garage door, and he sits at one end of the 6-foot table. I sit at the other end of the 6-foot table, and we leave the door open so air is circulating. And he's not seeing anybody right now, and we're basically not seeing anybody right now. So it works out, and so that's kind of what we did for Thanksgiving. Is that my wife and kids ate inside the house. And my dad came over, and he and I ate out in the workshop garage. And I have this, if you listen to my podcast or follow me, you know I have this thing called the pod cart, which is actually what it is a metal tool cart that I got from Harbor Freight. But I set up, back in the day, I set up all my podcast stuff on it. I set up a microphone and my laptop and all that. And so... and it was mobile, so I could move it in and out of the house. Actually, what I did was I stored it in the closet, and then when it was time to podcast, I'd pull out the pod cart, and when I wasn't podcasting, I'd wheel it into the closet. But now that I've got our new house here, I kind of have a little bit more permanent podcast solution set up. Oh, let's go ahead and grab that. This game. And it sounds like they're home. I'm sure we'll be having a visit here in a moment. And so basically we use the pod cart today for like wheeling stuff back and forth for a Thanksgiving meal. We wheeled food out there. My wife wheeled food out there. Oh my gosh, just losing yardage. Every down, 2 down, 2 yards, 2 yards. All right. If I could get around that guy. There. First down and more. Yeah. So again, you can see the clock is running down. See that guy on the right? He makes me nervous. That's the sound of running out of time. The time is done. So if there's no first down, the game is over. And the game is over. I'm trying to think what arcade that I would have played this at. Definitely remember playing it. Now, one thing is there were a lot of these. I remember seeing this game in a cocktail where you would sit down, you know, and I think when you played, it had an option for when you played two player. It wasn't you against someone else. You just took turns. But I remember for some reason in my head, I remember the screen flipping, you know, back and forth horizontally, vertically, so that the other player could sit down. So for some reason, I have a memory of that. Oh no, that was a terrible run back. Alright, we're going to try this trick. Let's see if I can get him. Yeah, there's too many guys. Yeah, it was a bad idea. A bad idea from the... I don't know, my team doesn't have a name. 20-yard penalty. We're going to be the Oklahoma Twitchers. That sounds bad. That sounds like a meth group. Boy, you know why I pulled you over? Because you're one of them Oklahoma Twitchers. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. We'll be the Oklahoma Streamers. And it's a completion. The Oklahoma Streamers catch the ball and running up the they're running up the sidelines. It's doing good. Let's see. And there's an interruption in the game. What?
Do you want a sandwich?
No, I'm good right now.
Playing.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Buddy.
Oh, that was the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. I meant to throw a lateral. I got distracted by the offer of a turkey sandwich for dinner. Hey, now I got to tell you, I see that the Amigos retro gaming is in there, but I really don't know. Is that Boat or is that Aaron? Me and the Brent were playing. This is the arcade version of a 10-yard fight. So I was just talking about, you know, I've the good one. Oh, it's the Brent. I was just explaining how in the United States we have Thanksgiving, and it's all about football, you know, and so. You were the ball, you silly. Hey, Earl, what's going on, my friend? Yeah, in the U.S., you know, it's a tradition that they show football on Thanksgiving, and so I actually, I gotta tell you, older I get, this is like a secret. I don't think this is like a secret shared among dads. Like, I don't think, you know, you're supposed to let non-dads in on this secret. But I would say that I'm a casual football fan, you know. But what I enjoy more than football is that the minute I put football on the TV, everybody else leaves the room. And so I've learned over the years that when I go, hey, I really want to watch this football game for the next couple hours, then everybody leaves, and then it's just me alone in the TV. So I can flip channels, I can do whatever I want, watch football or not watch football. It doesn't matter. So I think that's part of the appeal of football. And even if I did watch football, I'm going to run this up the middle, which is dumb right now, but I zigged when I should have zagged. Hey, Steve, what's up, my friend? So, I gotta tell you, man, in combination with that... Oh, that was a bad toss. Oh, there's just nowhere to go. I also bought, a few years ago, these really nice home theater chairs. And I call them my time traveling chairs because, man, you just lay down in them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, it's the future. It's an hour into the future. What happened? And so, man, the combination, I got to tell you, of that and I used to think that the turkey was what put me to sleep, but now I got a feeling it's just, eating too much. Just eating this massive amount of food on Thanksgiving, and then I'm like, and then you put on, it's that combination, like you eat too much food, you put on the football game, you get into that chair, and then the time traveling happens. All of a sudden, it's 2 hours in the future. All right, we're gonna try some trickiness. Oh, why did I do it? I didn't mean to throw it over the middle. I meant to throw it to the other guy. Oh boy, I heard a funny joke. It was funny to me. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. It was a guy talking to his wife, and he says, "What's that thing that makes me fall asleep every year on Thanksgiving?" And she says, "Oh, a tryptophan?" And he goes, "Oh no, your mother's stories." You know who didn't like that joke? I'll give you 3 guesses. Now, if you'll run over there, and you'll dodge that guy. Oh. 4th and inches. Oh, it's 4th and inches, which, by the way, at some point I should play 4th and inches. Oh, man. Yeah, so my wife is a saint, and she has spent the last 2 days, first of all, cooking, and then my niece and her husband have COVID, and they live an hour away. And not only that, but they live about 20 minutes away from the nearest town. They live like way outside of this. I say way outside. They live 20 minutes outside of the city. So we had Thanksgiving lunch. Oh, I was zigging when I should have zagged. When Thanksgiving was, the minute Thanksgiving was over, she boxed up stuff to take over to her mom. And while I, quote unquote, watched football, took a little nap. And then when that was over, she came home, and then we went over to my mom's, and we took desserts at that was dumb play, that my wife had cooked up, and we went and dropped those off. And I took another nap when we got home, and then she just left to go take food to her niece, who is at home sick. And so my wife has literally spent most of Thanksgiving Day driving food around and delivering food to other people. And which, if you know my wife, that's very on brand for her. I don't know. Actually, the last couple of years, we found a local food bank that let people come volunteer and make meals and do things like that. And last year, my wife found that, and I was doing something where I would have went, but she and the kids went, and they did that. And they were going to do it this year, but the whole thing's canceled. And can't have that many people together doing that kind of stuff. So it's unfortunate. Oh, come on. And he waltzes into the end zone. Look at the timer. Out of time, 2, 2nd, and 4. All right, O'Hara. Button 1. All right, let's hit this arrow in the middle again. Oh, no, I did it too early. I don't think it really matters. I guess it matters for your overall score. 4th and inches is a good football game. What are some other football games? There was Street Sports Football is one that I know that I played. I believe that was Epic's game, and they had their whole line of street sports. Street sports, baseball, basketball, and football, where you picked kids, and you played kind of a backyard version of sports. There was one, I can't think of the name of it. The players were almost like stick. I mean, they almost look like the Intellivision stick people. Send you there. You go this way, and then if you'll run to the right instead of the direction that you ran. I got a receiver that's never played football before. That's nice. But man, I can't even think of the name of it. But I have it. I have an original copy of it. It's one of the games, as I talked about on the podcast, when my parents owned their computer store. It's one of the games that they weren't able to sell at the very end. So they had, when the computer store, this was in the 80s, when it finally went out of business. I say finally, it was open for a year. When it went out of business, at the very end, there were 2 or 3 titles that they just couldn't sell, and that they just ended up giving me. And that was one. There's one called, I want to say I always get the name wrong. It's Lords of, but it's not the game that the Amigos recently played. It's I think it's Lords of Conquest. Whatever it is, it's basically Risk. And it's in the Electronic Arts style album cover. I got that. I got that football game. Oh, caught me again. You know what? There was a that Avalon Hill. That might be the one that I got. There was one of the early John Elway games was almost a first-person kind of thing. You know what? So speaking of those, this is one of those things that I wish you get to a certain point in retro gaming where I got to this point with arcade games. Earl, I know you've been there, and man, Aaron, I know that you have to have been there. I'm sure you've been there. Is that people would be amazed that I owned arcade games. The most I owned at one time was 30 games, and people would be amazed. They would go, it's amazing that you own 30 games. Man, buying arcade games, super easy. Like, you would be amazed. Most auction sites take credit card. And I owned a pickup truck. So, buying arcade games, not hard. Moving them, setting them up, not hard. Keeping them working, hard. And so you kind of get, I said this in Invading Spaces. I said, if you're going to get into the arcade hobby, you either need to learn. I think there was 3 choices. I'm trying to remember, but it was you need to learn how to, maybe 4 choices. Learn how to repair electronics. Make friends with somebody who knows how to repair electronics. Get ready to pay for somebody to repair your electronics. Or number 4, enjoy your broken game. And there were times where I did all 4 of those things. But, it got to a point where it got past my skill level, for soldering and I mean, I could solder. Like, I'm not good at soldering. I can solder like big blobs and stuff. I modded my share of PlayStation, so it's about as far as I got with soldering stuff, But I just got to my limit, you know what I mean, of what I could do, of being able to fix stuff and repair stuff or whatever. And I swear to you, there was a reason I started this story. I can't remember what it was. But as far as I guess I'll talk about arcade games until it comes back to me what I was talking about. What a terrible run back. the easy stuff, arcade, the easy stuff was, well, again, buying them. Buttons and wiring and that kind of stuff. That was all pretty easy. But, the first time I had capacitors go out, or like on a monitor go out, it was just easier to replace it. In fact, not easier, but I mean, not cheaper. But I did have I had a Karate Champ game, which is a great story. And why don't you move? I've already turned down field. There ain't no passing now. My Karate Champ. I had a friend that lived in Norman, which is like 45 minutes away from me. And, when we were kids, he liked Karate Champ, and I liked Karate Champ. And there was a arcade at a mall, which I'll be talking about on this week's You Don't Know Flack, which will be coming out sometime tomorrow. In my a mall that was like 20 minutes away from me called Crossroads Mall, and they had a Le Mans arcade. And so we would, they had Karate Champ there. And so my friend would practice Karate Champ at whatever his little local arcade was, and there was a Karate Champ at my little local arcade. But eventually, we would get together at Crossroads Mall because it was half the distance for both of us. It was halfway between Norman and my house, and that's where we would play Karate Champ. And all right, let's see if I can finally make a field goal. I've missed every field goal so far. I think what the trick is just to run backwards, so there's no threat of getting tackled. And then waiting for that. Look at that. 1,000 points. That's going to put me on the board. Like I know some people that do CRT monitors, and but not locally. But man, if you find those friends, you got to hang on to those guys because that's a dying breed, So anyway, my buddy and I would meet at Crossroads Mall and play Karate Champ. And actually, there was used to be an arcade right next to Crossroads Mall called Malibu Grand Prix, which was one of those go-kart racing places, but they also had a big arcade, and that's actually where we met, And anyway, years later, this would have been in the mid 2000s, I bought an arcade lot of games, and one of the games that I got was Karate Champ. And when I got it home and opened it up, it was full of Malibu Grand Prix tokens, all in the bottom, which means it came from Malibu Grand Prix, which means it was the exact machine that my buddy and I had played, back in the 80s when we were kids. And people ask me, do I regret getting rid of my arcade cabinets? And for the most part, I do not. But there are two machines that I do regret getting rid of, and that's one of them. Not because Karate Champ is necessarily a great game, although I'm really good at it. When you own, I was sort of good at Karate Champ, and then I owned one, and then I got really good at it. And the other was my 720 machine. But the 720 machine, I ended up selling to Arcadia Retrocade, which is in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so when I go to that arcade, my buddy Shay and Vic Sage, who some of you guys know, works there. And when you go there, or when I go there, I can play 720. And I actually sold them about half a dozen of my old games. And it's pretty cool, not just to know that your old games are living on, but also to, when you go in there and you see some 10-year-old kid trying to figure out how to play 720 and it's on your old machine, it's kind of a cool feeling, But anyway, on my Karate Champ machine, now wait a minute, I'm not even paying attention, and I just beat the high school game, which means I'm moving on to college, I think. So I don't think I've done that. Look at that. Look at these fine cheerleaders. You know what I always like to see in cheerleaders? It sounds like I'm making a bad joke. I don't mean it that way. I'm just Really, I was just wanting to know how they didn't have faces. There was just no way out of that joke once I stepped into it. Yeah, they weren't even... I mean, they were more than cheerleaders. They were kind of just looked like they were missing a pole there. Anyway, my karate champ over time developed issues. The graphics started getting garbled, and you know, and it was one of those problems where when I turned it on, it would be messed up, and then later when I turned it on and it was warmed up, it worked fine. And so I knew it was a cold trace somewhere, but man, I looked all over the board. I couldn't find where it was, and it was just beyond my ability to fix. And so I sold that board on eBay for, I remember this specifically, it was like $18. And the ad, you know, I said, this board has garbled graphics. I even included like a picture. I was like, maybe it's fixable, you know, hopefully you can fix it or whatever. I can't fix it. But I remember it sold for $18 and then whatever shipping was, you know. And let's see, it's 2nd and 1. Watch this. Oh, up the middle. Oh, the old quarterback sneak. And anyway, then I looked on eBay and there were working ones selling for like $25. So I just bought one of those. I put it back in. It works great. So maybe some guy buys them for $18 and fixes them, selling for $25. I wouldn't do that kind of work for that little pay, but good on him. I mean, I don't know that it was the same guy, but time to throw it to that guy. Nope. Oh, wow. That was a chop block. You can't do that in football. I like punch me right in the knee. Well, look at that. We're working our way up now. 32. If I'd have got to halftime, you never know. When I was a kid, my initials are RPO. And I was going to put RPO, and then I started putting Pro, which I thought was a little cocky. I do not feel like I'm a pro at arcade games. But then I just started putting Rob, except for when I go to Arcadia, or I've been to the 1984 arcade. I've been to arcades all over the country, actually. But if I'm on the road and I go to one of those, I'll put 405 just so they know somebody from Oklahoma took their high score. There's not too many games. Usually at Arcadia, if I go to Arcadia, I can put the high score on their Donkey Kong machine. I mean, it resets every night, so you would have to run into somebody that was there that day that is better than you at Donkey Kong, and I'm not great at Donkey Kong. I mean, I'm no Billy Mitchell, not with this hair I've got. Anybody catch that stream from Billy Mitchell? You know what? I'm going to go left. I'm going to go on right. I'm going to go left. Billy Mitchell, I saw earlier this week, has been doing some streams. Now I'm like, hey man, if Billy Mitchell tunes in, he's not going to approve of this hair. We're going to send that guy over there. We're going to do the old trickaroo. Make him think I'm going that way, and then I'm going this way. I saw him. I don't know if it was for an event or something, but I've seen him streaming this week to try to get... Looks like he was playing for a perfect game of Pac-Man. I don't know if he eventually did or not. He didn't do it on the stream I watched. It's amazing how Pac-Man... I mean, you could just... You know, when you start getting into those higher levels... and by the way, I can get to about level 4 on Pac-Man or something. I mean, I'm not good at Pac-Man. But just to watch him do the same patterns over and over, to gather the ghosts together and get them and trick them, you know, into coming to the, into the corner where you could eat all 4 of them, and hanging out in those little spots to where he can, I thought that was interception for sure. Get the fruit every time or something. It was very interesting to watch when you do all that. You know, this is a funny story. Right after King of Kong came out, I mean, this is within a year when King of Kong came out afterwards, my family and I went on a road trip. Oh, you dingle dork. Every time they intercept it. We went to Disney World. Is that right? No, Disney I always get it wrong. Disneyland. Disney World. We went to the one in Florida. Interception. The guy was... Well, this one's over. So, we went to Florida. I'm pretty sure that's Disney World. And as we were driving through Florida, this big long road trip, with the kids and everything, all of a sudden, we came across Hollywood, Florida. Like, we literally drove through Hollywood, Florida. And I was like, wait a minute, that's where Billy Mitchell's from. And that's where Ricky's, the restaurant is that they talked all about on King of Kong. And that's where he sells his hot sauce out of or whatever. And I was like, that's his restaurant in Hollywood, Florida. And so we took a slight detour, and it was about lunchtime. And we went to Ricky's. While I'm talking, I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture. Here. And our home digital. Let's go here. Boy, where would that be? Florida. Vacation. Yeah, here we go. It's going to take forever to cache all these pictures and pull them up. We'll see if this pulls up. But anyway, so we go to this restaurant, and it's Ricky's, restaurant or whatever. And this is the restaurant that that they talk about in the. Okay, here it is. Yep, here we are. All right, this is going to be cool. Okay, here. And this is going to take us out anyway, so this will be fun. Open with photos. That should go over there. And this should go, and then we'll go here. So we get to Ricky's restaurant, and we're like, I'm excited because a couple of things. I'm like, we are going to, and by the way, no one else is excited about this trip. Just me, because we're driving, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, let's go to this restaurant where this guy that was on a movie last year, the guy that's the world record holder for Pac-Man. And let me tell you, my wife, not happy about this plan. My kids, not happy about this plan. So we get to the restaurant, and I want to say, for whatever it was, it's like lunchtime. On the road, we would have eaten at like 11:30, something like that. And now it's like 2 o'clock or something. Actually, it is exactly 4:20. So that's how, and I'll tell you how I know that in a minute. Actually, this file name on this picture is 15:28. So it would have been about 3:30 in the afternoon, and we would have eaten lunch, obviously, much sooner than that. So this is the other half of the arcade in Ricky's Arcade. There's a pinball machine. There is a arcade cabinet. It is a Miss Pac-Man Galaga anniversary cabinet. There's no Donkey Kong machine in Billy Mitchell's restaurant. That's ridiculous, okay? He's a guy who's known. I know that he's kind of known for playing Pac-Man, but then at the time of King of Kong, he would have been known also for Donkey Kong, but he doesn't have either of those games in his own restaurant, This is my son in his vacation attire, playing some pinball. And then here we are. Here's the Ricky's menu. Mile High cheesecake. This is different desserts and stuff that look to be things that are on the table. But guess what else is on the table? Famous Ricky's hot sauce. Now, it's so confusing to me that, it says Louisiana hot sauce, but he's from Florida. And then there's all, it's just a strange kind of thing, right? And so they did have bottles of hot sauce on sale there. And so we did eventually. Now, I want you to look at this picture of my wife and tell me how happy she looks that I've put off lunch for hours and dragged her children into a bar. This is really a bar for lunch. That's how happy she is. I mean, if that's not the face of a mother who is thrilled that I have dragged them to this place. Now, nowhere in this place is there any sign of Billy Mitchell. I mean, there's no sign that's like owned by Billy Mitchell. There's nothing in the arcade. I mean, if I owned a restaurant, even if I wasn't there, in the arcade, there'd be a sign that says like, hey, home of Sprite Castle, or you don't know Flack, or some sign that would be there, robohara.com, nothing. Here's me, look how happy I am. I've got the bottle of hot sauce. That's not my bottle, by the way. That is just the bottle that's on the table, right? And so I ordered the wings, which they were famous for, and the wings were very delicious. Here's Morgan. I have no idea what she's eating there. I think she might be eating, that looks like she's eating pie for lunch, which, vacation. What are you going to do? Yep. This is, again, another shot. I mean, I just couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier. And so the hot sauce was, actually very good. I mean, I'm not a hot sauce expert, Oh, by the way, this is why my wife's not happy. Let me get to this, because that first photo, the file name is 3:30. I mean, it's it has the date and time in the file name. So the first one, when Mason was playing the pinball game, it was taken at 3:28. This clock says it's 4:20, which means we were waiting for almost an hour to get some wings and some ice cream for lunch. So yeah, nobody at all was happy, or not happy with me. Nobody was happy with me. Yeah, so it was weird. And so here's the outside, which, by the way, I mean, if this doesn't scream, this used to be a gentleman's club or something. I mean, no windows at all, no anything. That must be a selfie, which is why that's so small. But if I could find one other thing, I will show it to you here, and I will leave you maybe one that some of you guys have seen before. But yeah, so it was weird, and so as we got to the very end of the meal, like there's this burning question where you go, and the waitress came out, and finally I go, is Billy Mitchell here? Like in my head, he was wearing a hairnet, and he was going to be in the back, and he would come out and be like, hey, how'd you like the sauce or whatever? He's taking his tie, and he would have been like, taking off his American tie and being like, whatever. But they were like, no, he never comes here. He doesn't come here. He has no association with this. So it was very strange to me that he hawks the hot sauce as his sauce. It's Ricky's hot sauce from Ricky's restaurant, but he just had no association with them. And it was almost like, it wasn't like when you ask somebody like, hey, is somebody famous here? And they go, no. Like, it wasn't like that. Like we went on a vacation to Vegas, and we went to the Pawn Stars pawn shop, and we were like, hey, are they here? And they go, no. So it wasn't like that kind of thing. It was like they actually seemed like they didn't like Billy Mitchell. Like they were like, no, he doesn't come here. You know what I mean? So, I seem to recall the wings were pretty good. They were to me. But anyway, I want to show you this one last picture because it kind of sounds like I'm dumping on Billy Mitchell a little bit. And so a year or two after that, I guess this was in 2013. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. I went to, this is a terrible picture, by the way. I mean, it's all out of focus and stuff, unfortunately. I went to the Kong Off 3. So the Kong Off was the official Donkey Kong championship that they were having in Denver. And my buddy Rob Sherwin, Ice Cream Jonesy, lives in Denver, and actually I got to meet Mike McGinnis, who was one of the two hosts of No Quarter podcast, and I ended up doing No Quarter podcast with Mike McGinnis for a while. Mike McGinnis is a super sweet guy. I really enjoyed getting to talk and hang out with him, and we actually went to, gosh, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was the debut of a video game documentary. And while I'm talking here, I'm going to see if I can figure out what it was, but it was I'm scrolling through the pictures to see if I can see what it was. I don't see what it was, but anyway, hey, you know what I do have in here? Now my stream has just become me showing photo albums. This is like when you go over to your mom's house and they open up their photo album, like, come look at my vacation pictures. But this. So let me talk about this picture first here. So they started the Kong off, and this was the third Kong off, and they had it at there's a couple of arcades in Denver. There's the 1-Up and there's the 2-Up, and this was at the 1-Up, the original location, and they had, I think, 24 or 30 Donkey Kong machines lined up in a row, and then above them they had literally like webcams pointing at the screens, and then it was broadcasting it on flat screen televisions above that. If you take a look above on the right hand side, you can see those TVs, which is why the lighting was so weird. But Walter Day was there, and I met Walter Day one time, I think at CGE, like 5 years prior. And I said, "Oh, I've met you before." And he goes, "Oh, how are you?" And there's 0% chance that he remembered me, but he was very sweet to me. And then I saw Billy Mitchell, and I was like, "Oh, hey, there's Billy Mitchell." And all I knew about him was what I had seen on King of Kong and what I had seen and having gone to his restaurant, And Walter says, "Oh, hey, Billy, come here. This guy, he says your name or something like that." And Billy Mitchell came over there and he goes, "Hey, how are you doing?" or whatever. And I go, "Oh, yeah, I know who you are. I came from Oklahoma," and all this. Oh, and we talked for 2 to 3 minutes. And this is the way I would explain it. We talked longer than he was obligated to talk to me, if that makes sense. I mean, he could have said, "Hey, how are you? Glad you came out," shook my hand and walked off. He did not do that to me. He stood there for 2 or 3 minutes. We talked about that. We talked about, my arcade games and we just talked made small talk. And then Mike McGinnis actually took this picture. And so anyway, Walter and Billy were there. And so they were both very, very nice to me. And we had a good time. I will show you just a couple of pictures from that weekend. So this is when they were warming up, and this is the Donkey Kong 3, and you can see all the Donkey Kong machines, and I believe the guy right there in the tan shirt, I believe that is Hank Chin, the guy who ended up winning. I think that was who that was. I do remember that he won. But you could see some of the people were, warming up and playing. And then I spent the weekend with Rob Sherwin. And this was Rob Sherwin's arcade down in the basement of his house. I do want you to see one thing. Rob Sherwin, years ago, before it was such a big, huge internet meme thing, made his own Polybius cabinet, and it's literally a 60-in-1. But do you see the artwork that's on the side, the 4 stripes here and the little logo and this font that says Polybius? His pictures of his cabinet are all over the internet, and everywhere you see these little documentaries that say, "Oh, we're doing Polybius and this and that," or whatever, they have stolen his design for his cabinet. And they've duplicated it everywhere. And it's just kind of this funny thing is that every time I see the Polybius cabinet, it's a direct copy of the cabinet, the design that he came up with. But while we were in Denver, Rob took me to this place. I believe it was called Mile High Pizza with his girlfriend. And there's Rob and his girlfriend, and then here's me. This was a 26-inch pizza that the three of us ordered and did not come anywhere near finishing. But I will zoom through. This is Lions Pinball in Denver. If you like pinball, and man, I'm like Aaron. Let's see, RGR podcast, and they were friendly. He was super nice, and he does lots of stuff for charity. Yes, this is about Billy. I just feel like he's most people. I don't want to say most people, but I'm just going to scroll through some pictures. This is all taken at Lions Pinball. Most people in real life are scumbags, but then their persona that they present is that they're a nice person, but then when you meet the real person, then they turn out to be not nice people, and look at that safe cracker machine. You don't see those too often there. They had a whole music themed room there with Captain Fantastic. They had a Tommy machine, Rolling Stones. Man, they had some good machines at this place. Guns N' Roses, that was, I think, relatively new when we went there. There's the Pinball Wizard. But that's the thing, is that Billy Mitchell's like the opposite. Like, in real life, it appears like he's a nice guy, and then he wants his public image to be that he's a scumbag. I don't understand it, But this was, you guys may know the trivia on this, but there is a Playboy, I guess it's I don't know what you call that, not the backsplash, but the back piece or whatever, where the Playboy models are naked, and then there's an extra piece that goes on there that makes them clothed or whatever. I'm probably not getting that story exactly right, but yeah, this is that was really cool. What is this? Oh, this is a Mexican restaurant we went to. Not important. This is the Kong of 3 right here. This is the big banner that they had outside, and there's people practicing, and then that was the high score thing, and so you could see here all the people that were playing, and there's definitely some names. Of course, this was the entry whenever before they had started, but I'm looking here at some of the names. I don't see too many on the first ones, but here's Hank Chin. There's Steve Wiebe, who I talked to. Robbie Lakeman, who, if you follow the high score stuff, Jeff Wolf. And then, of course, so notice as these scores were coming in, Billy Mitchell's last, and he's 0. And so he was like everybody else was you had a certain amount of time to see how many games you could get in, and he was just not worried about coming in. And I believe he placed last or next to last or something like that. There's Steve Wiebe as we're watching him play. But it was definitely one of those moments. That is Mike McGinnis from the One Up, or not, sorry, from No Quarter, the one of the co-hosts of No Quarter with Carrington Vanston. And then when Carrington left the show, I took over, and Mike and I did it for a little while. And that was a lot of fun. And Mike McGinnis is just one of the most soft-spoken, nicest, just super nice guys. There's Billy hanging out in the back room over there at the arcade. The arcade has, the One-Up has basically 2 tables to sit and eat at. And they had taken over one as like the VIP area. So, but what's funny, you could see him standing right there. I think there was a podcast interviewing him or something. But Billy Mitchell, and I guess a lot of celebrities could do this, literally go from 1 second to being like, hey, I'm in normal mode. And then you're like, hey, can I take a picture? And they go, bam. And they go into their little pose, and then this is back at Rob's arcade in his house. By the way, he had just bought the Tron machine. And I forgot. I mean, he had literally just set it up, and I think he bought there was a deluxe pack of Tron, and I mean, it was like $8,000 or something like that. I was buying arcade games. I don't know about you, Aaron, but I was buying arcade games for $100 or $200. I was just paying like nothing for arcade machines, and so to see them, for somebody to tell me they'd spent $8,000 on a machine was just literally insane. That's I believe that's my old Vectrex that I sold to Rob. This is more stuff. Now this is I want to say also at the One Up. Yeah, this is games at the One Up. Yeah, they got a pretty good pinball. This is the 2 Up. So this is the second location. So why did we fold No Quarter? Well, so just to give you the background, No Quarter was a arcade themed podcast that was originally, the hosts were Mike McGinnis and Carrington Vanston. And the two of them did it for a long time. And I guest hosted a couple times on the show, and finally got to a point where Carrington just said, I really don't, I don't have time to do it anymore or whatever. And I was like, if you want to keep the show going, I will step in and do it. And so everybody agreed, and I wouldn't do it without Carrington's blessing. And Carrington Vanson is another person. He's one of the nicest, most genuinely nicest people that I've ever talked to. You own that WWF pinball, man? Aaron, one of these days, man, I know that I came up there that one time, and as I was driving through, and I stopped by Boat's place, but man, I want to come up and see your collection and see all that stuff. Once, in the post COVID days, that's definitely, we're definitely going to make that happen. But anyway, so when I talked to Carrington, and I don't think I'm divulging any, secrets or airing any bad blood or anything like that, but basically Carrington said, I'm so busy that I need to schedule a set time to podcast every week. And Mike is so, he has so many things going on that he needs to be more flexible. And he said, I just wasn't flexible enough. And I was like, oh, well then, so when I met with Mike, I was like, hey, here's the thing, man. I got a lot of podcasts I do. I got stuff with the family. And if we could just pick a time. And so we agreed upon a time. I think it was Sunday mornings or something like that. And then what happened was kind of what had happened with between him and Carrington. Again, there's no bad blood at all, but he would just have things where he was like, oh, I'm going to be gone on Sunday. Can we do it on Saturday? And it just didn't work for me. Like I was like, no, Saturday I do this, and or I was going to school at the time, and he would say, hey, can we do it, move it to Monday? Well, I had class Monday night. I couldn't do it, And so it just got to the point where, unfortunately, I basically was like, hey, if we can, I'll continue to do it. I'd love to keep doing it, but we got to do it on a set kind of schedule. And then after that, he kind of just shut the podcast down. So, and then he came back shortly after that with another host, and they worked, and their schedules were just more compatible. So it wasn't, like I said, I don't want to make it sound bad, like that it was that his schedule was bad, or that my schedule, that I was too, not flexible enough, or, but it just wasn't, we just couldn't get our times lined up, unfortunately. But I did love talking about arcade games and stuff like that. But I arcade stuff, a lot of times I do kind of feel like, what's that term? We're in the imposter syndrome, where, by the way, here's a high score. This was during the main event. And I think there was something where certain players had to qualify to get into the main event at the Kong Off 3. And then certain players just got automatically, moved into the finals, and Billy Mitchell was one. But here you can see him, number 22 out of 22 players. So it was a definitely a strange weekend, you know what I mean? So this was Kong Off. And then the Kong Off, there was another thing, and I didn't follow the drama, but there was some drama where it was two guys. One was the guy that, I mean, I guess they both owned the arcade, and one of them moved to New Jersey, and I'm sure you can find the story, but I think after that they kind of split up, the machines, and they split up the other stuff, and I think that was kind of the end of the Kong off. There's Hank Chen right there. Playing, and I believe, like I said, I think he won whenever we were there. You could see there's several 1 million point games going. Steve Wiebe was up there in the running. Donkey Kong, man, at those higher levels, just such a crazy game to play at that skill level. This is standing outside looking down into the arcade. There's a level that's kind of a below ground level. Man, I was tempted to take one of those banners home, but I did not. I was a good boy, but yep, that was the one up in Denver, and I think that's all the pictures of one up. Let's see here. Yeah, like I said, oh, you know what? I have a couple other things. They're still in here. Let me just zoom forward here. There's me and Mike. There's outside the one up there. This is the bathrooms at the one up arcade. So there's a boys. Hey Darren, what's going on, man? We are. So I was playing poorly. 10-yard fight, playing some football as we were celebrating Thanksgiving, and we got off to talking about Billy Mitchell, and now we are, as I go back here, and the reason that brought us to this is there's me and Billy Mitchell and Walter Day, and we were hanging out at the Kong Off 3, which was in Denver in 2013. So these were taken the next morning after the tournament was over. That picture came out terrible, but I love the effect of the lighting on here. So this is all the Donkey Kong machines the next morning, and there were still one or two lone guys trying to play Donkey Kong. There's you can see on the far right they had one. Actually, I think they had four that were red Donkey Kong machines, and you can kind of see in this picture that they had done custom vinyl wraps to the machine. So they say one up for the one up arcade, and this is Coors Light. I don't know. Coors Light must have sponsored the tournament or whatever. You can see this is where they had all the TVs hooked up for watching the tournament, and then, like I said, it was just you can see these little webcams that they had right here. So they had a webcam pointed to the game as it was being played, and another webcam that was on the player's face, and then they had a big split screen thing going on up there. But yeah, it's very, very cool to see Donkey Kong being played at that level. I got to a point, I think my high scores were like in the 120, 130 range when I finally tapped out. There's some more Kong off action as all people playing. I did learn this. I drove to Denver, which is a 12-hour drive. The red cabinets were conversions of I thought it was the mouse game. What was the Radar Rat Race? I'm thinking. I'd have to look that up. Somebody spot check me on that. But this is a cool picture. So this was there you could see the wrap that they've put on it. This is in the corner of the one-off or the one-up. They have their little, it's behind glass, and they're like, this is all, the super rare stuff. And it's so great to walk into a place, Radar Scope, yeah. And to walk into a place and be like, yeah, I got that. Like the stuff that they have behind glass is like the stuff that we all have like sitting in our the floor of our computer room, And I did, I don't remember if I took this picture or if I got it from their site. I must have got it from their site. I didn't take that. That's too square. But this is the custom marquees that they had printed up, and they were giving it away. I think it was actually. It looks like there's a but they had limited editions. You could see right there, and so they were either selling them or auctioning them. I don't remember what the deal was, but so yeah, that was the Kong off at the One Up Arcade in Denver, Colorado. Again, there's the One Up, which is in they call it Lodo, Lodo, which is I guess lower downtown, and then there's the Two Up. I'll play one more round of 10-yard fight before we wrap things up here. But I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the volume even more because really, and we all know what's going on here in 10-yard fight. But so this is an interesting thing. When I was at the Two Up, which was the other downtown arcade there in Denver, I checked in, of course, on Facebook, because that's what us Gen Xers do. I wasn't even paying attention. That was stupid. And when I got back home and I was looking at my Facebook, it said one of your other friends. What's going on here? I think I clicked off this and my controls aren't working. There we go. No, you don't. There you go. No, don't you jump. Okay. And so, anyway, it says one of your other friends, and it was a friend of mine from high school named Gail, had also checked in there. And I was like, well, that's weird. I mean, this is not somebody that I would associate with arcades or whatever. And it turned out that Gail was a bartender at the Two Up in Denver. So somehow in her life, she ended up in Denver. She ended up becoming a bartender at the arcade that I was at. And of course, just one of those moments where you're like out of context. Wasn't looking for someone I went to high school with. I did not see her there. But we were there at the same time, which was a little strange. But it is definitely a small world. For a little while, I was doing geocaching, and I remember I went to a geocache somewhere in the middle of Arkansas, and a guy that used to live in my neighborhood had also checked in there. Strange quinky-dinkies. I feel like I am the least famous person in the room at the moment. I can't see Darren's name without mentioning his podcast that he does with Robin Harbin, which is Growing Up 80s. So if you like the 1980s, and then everybody in the room goes, yes, then Growing Up 80s is a great podcast where Darren and Robin talk about things that they love from the 80s growing up and stuff like that. And it has I would say most of it translates internationally, but it's from my point of view, it's always fun to hear. There's something about the Canadian accent that just sounds very gentle and innocent, and that's not the right word. But to hear them say, I don't do a good Canadian accent. They were just talking about Bob and Doug McKenzie, which would be the only place that I got my Canadian accent from that, and from Moose from You Can't Do That on Television. But when they're like, oh, yeah, I like the. I'm gonna embarrass myself here with a bad Canadian accent. They're like, oh yeah, we used to get comic books, eh? That's my best Canadian. But it's really fun to listen to. And then we have Earl Green from thelogbook.com hanging out with us tonight. And if you want, Earl has video casts. He has Yes, Canadians have accents. Okies don't have accents. Actually, I'm very. I worked not hard, but I did work at a point in time. When I started working specifically for the FAA, and I was traveling, I did not want people to be able to know what part of the country I was from when I spoke. So I did work to get most of those Okie sayings out of my normal vocabulary. I had my grandma was very Okie, I guess, if that's the right word. She had a back bedroom. So in her house, there was the bedroom, and then there was the back bedroom. There was also she was a big fan of Yonder. And we were always there. If you go up yonder, you'll see this. And so I tried to get rid of some of those words out of my vocabulary. Earl, to get back to Earl Green, does video podcasts. He does a lot of stuff about the Odyssey too. He does. He has the is it the Escape Pod, Earl? I'm getting that right. Where he does for his space podcast. Oh yeah, fixing to do something. I had somebody call me out on that, and I didn't know that wasn't a thing. I thought everybody said that, and I had a guy tell me, "Why is everything in Oklahoma broken?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Well, you're always fixing to do this and fixing to do that." Like I'm fixing to get off this stream here in a minute, but as soon as I'm done with giving everybody else their plugs, then I'm fixing to go eat me a turkey sandwich. Is what I'm fixing to do. But yeah, that's one that does sneak into my vocabulary from time to time. But the Escape Pod, man, is I listened to that for a long time, and Earl basically had it going where he had a 10-minute podcast going every day of the year, and it would have something going on, and so if you go, I'm assuming that if you go to thelogbook.com, you can find links to Earl stuff. And then I don't think I have to tell everybody here about the Amigos podcast, but Aaron and Boat have been so generous in letting me hop on their bandwagon, upload my videos to their YouTube site, and give me space on their Discord server. So if you support, you can support me. But my minimum Patreon thing is $4 a month. But if you just want to get on Discord, there's there's for $1 a month. So they're the cheaper one. So if you're looking for the best bargain, you should support them instead of me. Look how bad I am. All I do is I plug other podcasts and just say go support other people. But no, man, the Amigos, I just love the Amiga is a computer that I was in love with and didn't have back in the day. So it's been so much fun to watch their videos and see stuff. And as a kid, you kind of have different there's a lot of rose tinted glasses for me with the Amiga. Like I talked about this in one of the articles I wrote on everythingamiga.com, which is where they host all their Amiga articles and stuff like that. But when I was I don't know. I was probably, maybe this was 10, 15 years ago. And to me, the Amiga was still this, like the ultimate machine. Like there was no better computer. There was no better graphics. And I remember reading this article that was like, the Amiga was comparable to the Sega Genesis. And it blew my mind because I was like the Sega Genesis was, it was a good console, but it was just it was a 16-bit console. It played games, it did whatever. And the Amiga, when I thought of the Amiga, I thought of the bouncy ball. I thought of the juggler. I thought of the King Tut picture, the ad from D-Paint, that kind of stuff, plus Battle Chess and all these great games, you know what I mean? Video toaster is a good point. I remember reading all these things about, the Amiga, they're using that for Babylon 5, and they're using, nobody was making TV shows with a Sega Genesis. So for somebody to put those side by side and say, well, the hardware is compatible and the video modes are compatible or comparable, that sort of thing, it was really mind blowing. So I've definitely enjoyed, kind of taking off those nostalgia glasses and actually looking at the Amiga, for what it is, and which is a very capable computer. That's also like the most awkward way to make a great computer. Like, let's make a great computer, then give it all these weird video modes that are hard to access and hard to program and strange stuff like that. And then when you get it figured out, let's release another model that has a different chipset that's not compatible with the first. So it's definitely been a rabbit hole to go down for me. But guys, thanks everybody for hopping on. And this was, I felt like the 2 football games was not enough. I'm just glad that I didn't eat that turkey sandwich before and fall asleep during the stream. That would have been a third nap for the day, I think. I think I've been on, let me look on it. It's been about an hour and a half. I've been rambling, playing some football and sharing pictures and stuff. I think my new podcast will just be where I get people online and I show vacation pictures. So, yeah, I'm going to go grab my turkey sandwich and go hop in the time travel machine and maybe I might make it all the way through to bedtime. So for all my American friends, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, man. I appreciate you guys hopping on and spending some time with me. And for everybody, whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, just know that I'm thankful for everybody that tunes in and supports my podcasts and my streams and all that kind of stuff. So there should be a new episode of You Don't Know Flack out tomorrow. I'll be talking about I'll just tell y'all, if you show up to here, then I'm not keeping secrets, is that it's going to be about Crossroads Mall, which is the mall I was just talking about, where they had the great arcade and they had a hobby shop. And I'll be talking about how the mall began, and Tintin probably already knows the story about he's here locally with me in Oklahoma City or Oklahoma. But that it went up. It was a great mall, and then it kind of went down, and how it is unfortunately no more. So, hey, everybody, have a good rest of your weekend, and I will run into you online somewhere soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.